Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to the show this afternoon. Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange should witness about 4 listings on the markets this year. This according to the managing director of the exchange, Kofi Yamwa. Now, this will include 3 listings on the alternative exchange market and 1 on the main market. The Ghana Stock Exchange boss tells Joy Business this is influenced by some aggressive marketing carried out by the exchange as well as a better business environment.
Know that there are a number of companies, particularly for the Ghana autonomous market, who have literally signed on with advisors so that they can begin the process of hand-holding them towards eventual listing on this market. Because of the fact that some may not materialize in the end, there's no point in giving
Can we put a number on it, maybe about 2, 3, 4, or even 5?
Our take is that we expect 3 to 4 as far as the Ghana autonomous market is concerned, and 2 for the main market.
Let's come to the main market itself. We know we can talk about the MTN. They've announced plans to do some public more offer. Have they finally decided to come onto the market, or it will still be a private placement?
The last discussions we had with them is that we know that they will be doing a public offer. But we also know that that public offer will not lead to a listing on the exchange. In other words, there will be a public company out there which is not listed, very similar to the likes of NIB and so forth. So that is the situation. No, we also know that some banks are considering, but we've not had official communication in this. In terms of the procedure, usually the first approach is to the advisors. And it is only when the advisors go a certain far stage that the exchange is involved in the process.
Okay. What will happen to some of the companies that have failed with the market conditions of regular release of results and all those things? Would you take a decision to delist them?
When you say failed,
they've delayed in releasing their financials as well. They've been so much inactive on the market. What is going to happen to them?
It's on the basis of permission they extracted from the regulators, SEC. I know the one that you're referring to in particular. There have been discussions with us under the circumstances for which they will not be able because they're going to a capital restructuring project. We are also in discussions with them, and they are involved not only ourselves, but their main regulator, the central bank, as well as the regulator for the capital market, the SEC.
Now, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources John Peter Amewu has ruled out any arbitrary review of the agreements government has with the big mining companies. The agreements grant tax relief to mining firms in a bid to encourage investment into the sector. During his vetting, Mr. Amewu indicated plans to review the agreements when he assumes office to maximize the economic benefits of the country's mineral resources. He now explains to Joy Business this would happen only at the end of each agreement.
Most of the mining companies' stability agreement will be coming to an end, and I know definitely when that comes to an end, they will be coming back for a review, and that is where the discussion is going to progress.
So which time period are we looking at for the end?
It depends. I know, for instance, Anglo Gold Ashanti, that one is coming to an end by 2018 or so, in the next 2 years or so. Some has about 5 years yet to go. So when those agreements, terminate, some 3 years, we will begin to look at the review.
So it's not going to happen anytime soon after all?
2 years from now, it's not.
The indication you gave was that once you assume office, that's what you...
No, that was no indication. You don't forget, some of this have already been reviewed. The Akil Akpasoye's committee has done the review already.
You knew this when you made the announcement that you were going to consider reviewing it?
Well, consider reviewing those that will come to an end. When the new stability agreement ends, you need to look at the review. That was exactly what I meant.
That's not what came out.
Well, but that is what I meant. So I'm happy you're understanding clearly what I meant.
Put it in context, because the Chamber of Mines welcomed it, except that they said that once you're going to do it, in the context of
it's not going to be done unilaterally. It's not something that I walked into my office and say, bring all your stability agreement for review. No, not at all. They will come to an end. Akil Akpasoye's committee has reviewed some. Some of the companies are even demanding for more stabilizations in their clauses. So these are things we can look at, collectively. It's not anything we can do, with a unilateral decision. Not at all.
The Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, says it is likely to settle on the new owner of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, by the close of this year. This would be done after a bidders conference on May 25. Engineer Oreku Kwekusafo is Chief Executive Officer of the MIDA.
Right now, what we are talking about it relates to the structure of the ECG private sector participation, and that is not part of the compact. What the compact indicates is that government will elect to undertake either a partial privatization or a long-term concession, and government has undertaken a long-term concession. So that is an agreement. In terms of the details of the structure, these have to be worked out, but you also have to agree that whatever structure we adopt must be accepted by the market, meaning that, you know, you are looking out in the market, looking for bidders who will show interest in the transaction. So whatever terms you adopt must be acceptable to the bidders.
And so the economists would always want to say all other things being equal. All other things being equal, when would you settle on that concessionaire to lead this whole reorganization or privatization of the ECG?
Well, the arrangement, the current arrangement is that there are a number of processes that we have to go through. We have to go through the tendering process. They submit their tenders. If all goes well, by September, there will be evaluation, approvals, and whatever. And then a decision will be made on who is a preferred concessionaire. And that decision we expect to occur sometime early next year. And then approvals will go through, and then there will be negotiation. And when the negotiation is done and all the approvals are done, then a contract is signed with them by Government of Ghana. And when the contract is signed with them, then they will start the process of taking over the management, operation, and investment in ECG.
Aren't you racing against time, if I may ask, in per your calendar, even settling on this concessionaire? Aren't you behind time?
Well, we are behind time, but we are working to catch up on time. As you are well aware, by the terms of the compact, if you are well aware, we are supposed to have financial close of this concession latest by September next year. And looking at the processes that are ahead of us, there are quite a lot of things that we need to do, but we are working to make up for time so that we can meet that timeline.
Let's now turn attention to the aviation sector, and work on the Kotoka International Airport Terminal 3 is scheduled for completion by the end of April next year. This was made known when the Aviation Minister, Cecilia Dapaah, toured the Kotoka International Airport and inspected ongoing expansion works at the airport. The new Terminal 3 is expected to handle over 5 million passengers when complete. Sheila Tamaklo was with the minister and has come through with this report.
The Minister for Aviation was accompanied by her deputy, management of the various departments of the Ghana Airport Company Limited and the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. The objective was to ascertain the current state of the infrastructure at the Kotoka International Airport. Her first stop was a new structure being put up for air navigation services, which is yet to be completed. Sector Minister Cecilia Dapaah was pleased with expansion works so far.
I believe the building, as you see, ties in with the vision of government, the vision of President Akufo-Addo to make the aviation sector the best in the sub-region, if not in Africa. And we know our airport is the hub. Nigerians can dispute that. But I believe we all know that it's now the hub of the sub-region. And it is because we provide excellent services to our passengers and our pilots. And it's all because our workers are hardworking, and they should continue to make Ghana proud.
The next stop was the Kotoka Terminal 3 expansion, which is 55% complete. The tour also took the minister to the passenger and cargo handling wings, offices of service providers, Aviance, and the airport clinic. In an interview later, the minister emphasized the need for more locally trained personnel for the aviation sector.
Because you know about the unemployment situation, we have a lot of the youth who are interested in the aviation industry. And I even hear from Africa World Airlines executives that they are short of pilots and crew members on the plane. We are hoping to have a school built to train pilots and crew members for the plane. Because as the industry is expanding, so should be the training programs that will give to our youth and our professionals to make sure Ghana is truly the hub. You talked about the dream of having Ghana become the hub. And I will say we are the hub, but we need to expand. So with this new project coming on board, I think we'll have a lot of space for our passengers and the comfort will be assured.
The flagship Kotoka Terminal 3 project, upon completion, is expected to handle up to 5 million passengers a year, with an expansion potential of up to 65 million passengers, and ease pressure on the existing 2 terminals.
Away from that, leading stationery depot, CRIF Ghana Limited, has now entered into partnership with one of Europe's largest office products manufacturers, Durable, at a short ceremony in Accra. Susan Eura Ajwa Akusua is the executive director of CRIF Ghana Limited, and she tells Joy Business the partnership will boost the company's competitiveness and also create more jobs.
In business, sometimes it grows, the relationship develops. So there must be progress. It's ongoing, and so we really want to, and we also have the plan to take Durable to the sub-region. Yes, we have the plans to take Durable to the sub-region. I mean, Gambia, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, of course, so it's a growing relationship, and we are quite happy with ourselves. There is a lot that is going to go for Ghana. Leadership is important, and I think leadership will come up with the necessary strategies, and if they do, there is nothing we couldn't have in Ghana, So, yes, doing business in Ghana, even as Ghanaians or all the other people who have set up in Ghana, it's a tricky balance you have to get right. Yes, you need to get it right. We are hoping that things will get better and simpler once we get some of the indicators or the factors right. I think this would be a good place to do business. Yes, and we are encouraged anytime people come on board, because we keep getting inquiries or our friends in business, when they meet us, they ask, so what do you think about coming to Ghana? And we definitely say, yeah, sure, come to Ghana. But there are some corrections we need to do.
And now to the Ashanti region. President Akufo-Addo has expressed high hopes the newly opened Kumasi City Mall will be used to promote Ghanaian-made goods. According to the president, it would be truly commendable if by the end of its first year of operations, at least 20% of goods on retail at the mall are of Ghanaian origin, with the percentage increasing further as the country's manufacturing sector expands in the coming years. At the official opening ceremony of the Kumasi City Mall on Wednesday, President Akufo-Addo lamented that Ghana continues to be a retailer of cheap imported goods, while the capacity of local producers remains weak, with their products suffering low patronage.
The $95 million Kumasi City Mall, KCM, which opened for business 20 days ago, bubbles with pomp and glamour at its official inauguration. President Akufo-Addo and Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II graced the occasion, attended by chiefs and government officials. The president believes the mall is a huge resource with potential to boost the local economy.
The Kumasi City Mall has the enviable status of not just being the only mall outside of Accra, but it is now also arguably the biggest mall in Ghana and the biggest in West Africa. All over the world, new enterprises such as this mall have spawned the creation of jobs and investments and triggered increased local spending. Supermarkets and many shopping malls in several parts of the world, particularly in the advanced economies, have become magnets for production. It is my hope that the Kumasi City Mall will not only be a place for the sale of imported goods, but substantially also Ghanaian goods. For instance, it would be truly commendable if by the end of the first year of its operation, at least 20% of the goods that are sold here should be of Ghanaian origin.
President Akufo-Addo also waded into the social media mockery of Kumasi residents when the mall opened last month.
It therefore should not come as a surprise to residents of Kumasi that your compatriots in Accra resorted to poking fun at you and trolled you on Facebook and social media when this mall opened for business last month. The reason is simple. You have stolen their thunder. They no longer have the bragging rights of having the biggest mall in West Africa. As from this moment, it is no longer Yenso Yewobi, as I've heard some say here, but Kesiano Wokumase. KCM, you do all.
Meanwhile, board chairman of Kumasi City Mall, Kofi Sachere, said the facility fits into government's one district, one factory agenda.
We've invested $250 million in all the three projects, and we have created thousands of jobs during construction and in the operational phases. Kumasi City Mall alone, we created nearly 1,000 jobs for local subcontractors, builders, and artisans during the construction.
The last instruments are reporting.
In other business news, now the ongoing amendment of the Ghana Investment Promotion Centre's GIPC Act is likely to be ready for parliamentary consideration by the middle of this year. Now, this, according to the GIPC, will enhance its quest to improve the business environment to attract more foreign direct investments into the country. With the new amendment, foreign investors hoping to establish in Ghana may enjoy tax holidays and other incentives similar to what indigenous firms are enjoying. Chief Executive Officer of the GIPC, Yofi Grant, explains to Joy Business some of the amendments at the sidelines of this year's Economic Councillors Dialogue here in Accra.
Many parts of the law which we think we could look at again to attract investors into the market. One that has been a bit controversial is capital limits. That says that, if you're in a joint venture with a foreigner, the foreigner needs to bring in a minimum or demonstrate a minimum inflow of $200,000. And if it's a foreign company that wants to be 100% owned, it should bring a minimum capital inflow of $500,000, and for trade, $1 million. That, it has a reason for being there, but is that reason still pretty valid? Has it been helpful in getting our companies to grow up and become as big? My belief, and from the literature and the research we are doing, is not. So maybe we need to look at that law and open that and says, no, we will still say that if you come and invest here, bring in a minimum, maybe whatever figure it is. But let the companies come and invest in the country. There are companies that may come with a minimum investment of $100,000. For example, in the IT business, but they may come and employ 200 people. But because they do not meet the minimum capital, they will not come. So those are the kind of things we need to think about. And bear in mind, we are also comparing ourselves to our neighbors, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria. How can Ghana best position itself to be the main attraction center for West Africa? The thing is, we want to create high-value jobs for our people. I don't think that it's a sense of pride to say we limit certain areas for our people. We want to open up our economy for our people as well. Not just say that you want to reserve hairdressing, taxis, barbering, and so forth, Ghanaians. And I know it's a very sensitive issue because a lot will say, well, yes, but we don't have the level of expertise or the technical know-how to engage the bigger issues. But that is why the government's policy is all embracing.
Now, if you've seen any beautifully crafted metallic sculpture in town recently, it's likely to be the work of female sculptor Constance Swanica. For 17 years, she's raised the benchmark in the craft industry. Her firm Accents and Art has become a market leader in the iron fabrication industry. As to how she succeeds in a male-dominated industry, we find out in a repeat of the Joy Business Fan.
Sparks flying from hot metal, hammers ringing on iron plates, metal structures being constructed by cutting, bending, and assembling processes. This is Constance Swaneker's world. Constance grew up in different parts of the continent. This diversity in her background strongly influenced her outlook on life and helped her appreciate art. When she returned to Ghana to continue her education, she decided to pursue art at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. She opted for sculpture, one of the few women to do so in her time.
So what we do also here is we play around with color a lot. We play around with all sorts. So ordinarily, maybe if you see railings outside, it will either come maybe in just standard black or white.
Constance Swaneker's journey as a sculptor and an artist started 6 months after she graduated from the university. She decided to open her business, Accents and Art, at her mother's backyard with 2 welders.
You know, when I started business, I started doing small decorative pieces, but in time, people started asking for a wide range of products, and I saw the possibility in the industry. And we sort of went all out, and the more I explored and the more people requested for things, that's when it dawned on me that there was a demand for very creative, well-finished products.
Constance started off with nothing. All she had was a passion for art and her acquired skill. She has over the years brought a lot of color to the profession, which is usually regarded as a roadside job in Ghana. Her niche work can be found in a wide range of upscale homes, offices and diplomatic missions both home and abroad.
What makes our work stand out is the human feel, and we always want our clients to have an emotional connection to the work. So if you look at what she's doing now, that, you know, even though it's a metal piece, it's, you know, she's delicately hand painting the work. So you find that people now are not looking for mass-produced things. They're looking for unique pieces, things that you can see that it's taking, you know, labor of love.
Constance's maiden exhibition, dubbed Passage of Discovery, in July 2011, marked a chapter in her life as an artist and a sculptor. Constance currently serves the top 10% of the population who are attracted to the quality of her products.
One thing that I'll tell you, if you want to make a mark in this industry, is to pay attention to finish. So that's one thing we don't compromise at all. So there's a lot of effort that goes into this department. That means using the right materials, using the right tools, and even the quality of the staffing. People
did not take Constance seriously when she started at first. She was a woman trying to enter a field that is dominated by men.
It was very exhausting in the beginning, always having to fight, always having to prove a point. That means that you doing work above standard. Once I was able to go over that, people don't see you as a woman or a male anymore. They just see you behind a company that does good work.
Good work she has accomplished, and that tells on the number of awards she's received for her outstanding work. Constance has 40 workers now, and she set up an art and design institute to train others, especially women, to be like her. So how has the industry progressed over time, and what are the teething challenges?
One of our biggest problems is that there's not much innovation, there's not much creativity, very poor quality work, low level of skill. So if they don't understand all these things, and for the local market it seems okay, you're exporting things to, you know, first world countries. They understand that, you know, things have to be of a certain standard, and I think that's one thing we don't have, standards.
So what's the future like for Accents and Art?
Looking at the possibility of the very near future, how we can use a lot of mechanization and industrial welding to produce out these in volume and flood the timber market for people to be able to buy these flat pack pieces and then self-install them at home.
All right, so we say kudos to Constance, who is making significant strides in a male-dominated iron fabrication industry. And you can also catch another edition of The Van on Wednesday on Business Live, with a repeat on Thursday on The Marketplace. And this is where we draw the curtain down this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for your company. Do make a date again, same time tomorrow, for another interesting edition. My name is Emmanuel Abuajiri. Have a good afternoon.